manufacturing products to be competitive, the cost of production must be low and indeed low and competitive. The cost of power in Kenya is still relatively high, and this is impacting negatively on the cost of production. Kenyan manufacturers are paying an electricity tariff of about 15 US cents per kilowatt hour compared to our neighbor Ethiopia, which is at about 4 cents per kilowatt hour. That's US cents. Egypt, which is at 6, and so forth. So we have a challenge because we need to attract manufacturers in this economy. And for the time being, we're having them argue and push back that our cost of power is indeed not competitive compared to our neighbors. So the government has for the last few years pushed on the reduction of power from 21 UN cents to 15. But you can see clearly this is not still competitive enough. The target in the next few months is to reduce substantially to an average of about 9 cents US cents or below for us to be competitive. Now, renewable energy, it's obviously going to be the next frontier to ensure that this becomes a reality. Whilst the capital costs are still a challenge for the renewable subsector in terms of implementing infrastructure, we still believe if you look at the long-term use of renewable energy, these costs become more competitive than the other fossil and other energy sources. What's encouraging is that the renewable energy costs have also fallen, and this is evidenced by the reduction of 80% for the photovoltaic modules themselves. And this has been witnessed in Kenya. Once again, I'd like to mention here, and it's been mentioned by our colleagues, that there's huge potential for geothermal, which we hope that will also be exploited to ensure that we get to the levels that we're aiming for in terms of reduction of tariffs for costs for power. Now, and finally, in conclusion, renewable energy sources will play a great role in achieving lower power tariffs for the country. And these will enable manufacturing and, in extension, the rest of the big 4 priorities sectors in Kenya. And we hope that you'll join us in this endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to now join me in welcoming our guest speaker, the Honorable Minister for Environment, Professor Judy Wakungu. Please, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. His Excellency, the Ambassador of Italy to Kenya, His Excellency, the Ambassador of the EU to Kenya, the Senator, Narok County, Principal Secretaries present, the DVC, Strathmore University, the Secretary General, Rest for Africa, the UN regional representatives present, CEOs present, members of the academia, lecturers, students, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to address this conference, which is dedicated to discussing issues dealing with one of my favorite topics, and that is renewable energy. As a country, we feel truly honored to host this important conference. We are indeed proud of the organizers and Strathmore University for keeping the discussion on renewable energy alive as it contributes to the environmental protection of our planet, and also it contributes to the prosperity of all our people. Ladies and gentlemen, this forum is part of a rapidly growing global consensus on the preeminence of environmental issues. The conference comes at a time when we are 3 years into the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, about half of which have a direct link to the issue of environmental sustainability. The AU 2063 Agenda and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. It also comes at a time when the country is finalizing the development of the MTP3 of the Kenya Vision 2030. Excellencies and distinguished guests, building a sustainable shared future cannot be an afterthought, and we as a people have to be ready and willing to make selfless sacrifices starting today. If we want to leave our children and grandchildren a viable and better world tomorrow, we must start investing in renewable energy today. This meeting contributes to this momentum and amplifies the urgency for us to fast-track our resolve to remove all activities that affect our environment negatively. The Sustainable Development Goal 7 reiterates the need to ensure universal access to affordable, reliable modern energy services and improve energy efficiency by 2030. This SDG 7 was conceived out of the realization of the negative effects of non-renewable energy on the environment. Globally, our current energy use patterns is the dominant contributor to climate change, and here, of course, I'm talking about fossil fuels, accounting for around 60% of the total global greenhouse gas emissions. Ladies and gentlemen, renewable energy, as we've discussed this morning, is abundant. It is cheap and affordable. Governments and international organizations are now aware of the crucial role of renewables in ensuring access to electricity, both in urban centers and in remote rural areas. From a purely economic point of view, renewables are often competitive and more affordable electricity sources compared to fossil fuels. Excellencies and distinguished guests, I am proud to inform you that we have taken steps to secure a sustainable and resilient country. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 provides for the right to a clean and healthy environment for all Kenyans and a tree cover of over 10% by 2030. Moreover, the national government is tasked by the 4th schedule to formulate the energy policy, including electricity and gas reticulation and energy regulation. The Environmental Management and Coordination Act, CAP 386, provides that NEMA and the lead agencies that shall promote research in appropriate and renewable energy sources, provide incentives to promote investment in this sector, promote measures for conservation of non-renewable energy sources of energy, and take measures to encourage planting of trees and also woodlots. As a result of these obligations, ladies and gentlemen, the government has consistently invested substantial amount of financial resources towards renewable energy, such as geothermal, wind, hydro, and solar power to our economy. Expansion of geothermal power plants in Olkaria and wind power projects, such as those in Turkana, are vital to achieving the Vision 2030 goal of universal energy in Kenya. Additionally, my Ministry of Environment has been at the forefront in tree growing, and the tree cover has now increased to over 7%. In fact, the exact number today is 7.4%. We have also ensured safety of our environment through environmental impact assessments and also continuous monitoring. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya, like many countries, signed the protocol on climate change following the adoption of the Paris Agreement. We also adopted a green economy strategy and implementation plan 2016 to 2030 as a guideline of environmental sustainability efforts, even as we submitted our national commitments to the United Nations Framework for Climate Change. The Green Economy Strategy and Implementation Plan 2016 to 2030 commits the government to increase the share of renewable energy, and that is geothermal, wind, and solar, in the national grid to at least 80%. It also commits to promote use of bioenergy at household, public institutions, and commercial enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, Kenya's economy is mainly dependent on agriculture and tourism, which are also dependent on the environment and, of course, the natural resources. Kenya also faces the challenges of climate change, poverty, and food insecurity. Considering the prominence of climate change in today's global narrative, it is no surprise that renewable energy is the forefront development option. Renewable energy, therefore, promises to be the future of our energy needs, providing clean and reliable energy. Indeed, renewable energy is crucial to the success of Kenya's Vision 2030 energy goals. In addition, ladies and gentlemen, renewable, sustainable, competitively priced, and affordable energy is one of the main catalysts of industrial growth and also of job creation. Globally, many people still rely on fuel wood, coal, charcoal, and animal waste for cooking and for heating. The social and environmental costs related to this type of energy are paid for, by example, by the households and thousands of people who die due to pollution caused by the use of coal and fuel wood for cooking. Kenya is not an exemption, and pollution is responsible for health challenges in many of our people, and indirectly through vulnerabilities resulting from the effects of climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, as has been articulated very clearly by all the speakers thus far this morning, Kenya has a great opportunity to transition its electricity systems towards renewable energy in a quick and sustainable way, and thereby embracing the choice of decarbonization. Scaling up green investments in key sectors such as energy, agriculture, transport, and industry would catalyze significant advancements in sustainable development and therefore poverty eradication. However, ladies and gentlemen, there are challenges that have to be overcome in Kenya if Kenya is to benefit from the many opportunities that are offered by renewable energy technologies. These challenges include capacity building, increased access to finance, and technology innovation. Investing in renewable energy, however, is the best option because it will help the country address its vulnerability to climate change effects, and which will also reduce our global emissions. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I am grateful to Strathmore University for leveraging your influence and resources to safeguard our environment and therefore our country. Your solar project here demonstrates your level of commitment to sustainable development and also to clean energy. I am pleased that this practical demonstration and the Renewable Energy Conference is happening here at Strathmore in Kenya and in East Africa, and especially in Kenya, Nairobi in particular. Congratulations. I urge other institutions and individuals to emulate you and become self-sufficient in power supply, as well as avail excess power to the national grid. With these very many remarks, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and my privilege to declare the Rest for Africa Renewable Energy Conference in East Africa officially opened. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Judy Wahungu. Another round of applause for her. And, you know, towards the end of her remarks, she did mention that some of the challenges we have are capacity building, as well as increased access to finance, being one of those challenges, and of course, technology innovation. But if we can deal with those challenges, then I suppose that we can have more renewable energy solutions in the country, across the region, and across sub-Saharan Africa. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a short break. But when we come back, this break is only going to be about 20 minutes. And when we come back, we are going to get into our panel sessions. And our very first session is on the integration of non-programmable programmable renewable energy in the national electric system of Kenya. And this is going to be moderated by none other than Luca Moreno, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Luca Moreno is going to be the moderator. He's right there at the extreme right, and he's the project manager for Renewable Energy Solutions for Africa. So we're going to take a short break, but in the meantime, we're going to have a press conference in the executive boardroom on the second floor of the business school. So that is going to take about 20 minutes as well, 20 to 30 minutes as well. And thereafter, we will come back in here and we will have our very first panel session. Thank you all so much for making time to attend the opening session. Thank you.
Plus the charger, all its
moving faster and faster. Distances are short, more connected.